Good evening. Good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to be giving the keynote address today in the Martha Farrell Award ceremony. And I know that it will be of great satisfaction to Martha Farrell herself, to her family, and to her organization to know that so many of you are committing and continuing the fight for gender equality, a cause that she so passionately believed in. First, I would really like to appreciate all of you who are working for the progress and dignity and equality of women everywhere and against the physical and psychological violence that they suffer. I would especially like to congratulate the winners of this year's Martha Farrell Award for their dedicated hard work for the cause of women's rights and equality. The fact is, I'm really very happy at every given moment, at every opportunity to speak about gender, the causes of gender inequality, how to understand and recognize those daily discriminations that happen in our working lives and in our homes, and how we can start to make changes. I said I'm very happy to speak about gender at every possible opportunity because I believe, and it is my experience, that the more we speak up, the more we speak out about gender discrimination, the more we discuss together, the more quickly change will come. When we are silent, hesitant to speak up, uncomfortable with any discussion about women and men's and gender equal rights, then it is very hard for change to happen. Very recently, it became clear to me the difference in gender attitudes and behaviors in, for example, an organization or community that regularly examines and discusses the issues of gender equality and gender inequalities in its own living and workplace, and the difference in an organization, in the attitudes and behaviors in an organization or community where gender is very, very rarely a topic of discussion. It became clear to me because, for example, in my own organization, gender has been a continuous topic for discussion and action in favor of gender equality since the last 50 years. But recently, I participated in some meetings in another institution where the majority of professionals are men, and women have only recently started entering this profession, especially in the rural areas where I live. Therefore, in the meetings that I attended in that institution, the majority of members were men, and there was only one woman present. Just on entering the room, I could immediately feel, I could immediately sense the difference, the strong patriarchal attitudes and behaviors in that group. And despite the main active professional amongst them being the one woman member present, all the decisions were being taken by the men, and her voice was not even heard. This really had a great impact on me. And going back home, I realized that tremendous difference between places, organizations, communities where gender is actually talked about, discussed, and those places where nobody really even understands the meaning of gender equality and the issue is never discussed. And actually that day, I vowed to myself not to complain anymore about my own organization because I encourage very much all our members, men and women in the organization, to speak up about gender discrimination they feel, they face, they see around them. But sometimes, even 50 years, the progress is slow and I feel frustrated. But that day, I realized how much we have actually advanced and how important it is that gender equalities and gender inequalities can be freely discussed and understood both at the home and in the workplace. I know that most of these daily discriminations as women we face at home or in the workplace are actions, words, looks, behaviors that happen subconsciously or unconsciously, that for most persons there is no conscious or deliberate intention to discriminate a woman colleague or family member. That these actions and behaviors are the result of hundreds of years of accumulated and deeply rooted patriarchal values that are not just going to disappear overnight or not just going to disappear because we have become intellectually aware of women's rights. Just to illustrate an example, I can tell you in our organization, with the support of Martha Farrell Foundation and other consultants, we organize many trainings on gender for both staff and people, men, women, and other genders, all genders. And some of the participants are quite highly educated persons, doctors, specialists, and other professionals. And usually before the training starts, they ask me, Mrs. Ferrer, why are we attending a gender training? In my family and in my department, there is no gender discrimination. But normally, the same people on the last day of the training, they tell me, Mrs. Ferrer, sorry, I said there's no discrimination happening around me. Actually, there is, but I just didn't recognize it. And that's what makes it so hard to make changes in our lives. We need to understand the historical reasons for our gender discriminative attitudes and behaviors, learn to recognize them in ourselves first, and get the courage to speak up, and slowly changes happen. I say we have to have the courage to speak up when we feel we have faced discrimination, because from my own personal experience, I know it is not easy. Very often we think to ourselves, shall I say something? Shall I not say anything? Shall I say something tomorrow, later, next time? But if somebody has said something, behaved in such a way that we feel hurt or angry, it is important to speak up. Otherwise, we only continue carrying that hurt and anger with us. I think we all have to find our own way forward. For me, I speak up if something has really disturbed me, but if it is something simple, I let it go. But we should not let go the bigger things. I know it's easy for me to say we should speak up, because I know it's not easy. But the fact is that once we start speaking out, we gain confidence, and we also get used to responding to the different reactions that come when we speak up. I said it is hard, but I know it is not impossible, as all of you here today know, because you are dedicatedly pursuing the cause of women's empowerment and gender equality. When we look at the progress we have made in our country in the last 50 years, it's amazing. Equal number of girls and boys in school, more women in the workplace, in executive positions, in politics and leadership at all levels, laws in favor of women, and the recent reservation of 1/3 seats in parliament for women, which many countries don't have. Then again, we look at the challenges ahead. The slow pace of justice in cases of violence against girls and women, the strong patriarchal system still governing our lives, and the tough struggle for millions of girls and women to have the freedom to follow their dreams. We know that we still have a long way to go. As my daughter-in-law Visha once said to me about when she was young and growing up in the rural areas, I didn't follow my dreams because I didn't know I could. I thought I had to just follow the established route in life. Now she is following her dreams and helping other girls know and feel that freedom. So I say to all of you today, you're doing an amazing work. Don't stop. Don't ever give up. Every small positive action, every increased bit of awareness in favor of women's equality will have great impact in the lives of all women and girls, and also impact the lives of future generations of women and girls. Gender-aware parents, parents treating their sons and daughters equally, means that those sons and daughters will be our future gender-sensitive generation of mothers and fathers, spreading the values of gender equality in our society. I would like once again to thank Martha Farrell Foundation for this one more beautiful opportunity given to me today to speak about women whom I believe and I know are both forceful and compassionate change makers in our society. I also would like today to appreciate the many men who I know believe in and work for equal rights and dignity of women. I would not like to finish without speaking about the great struggle today for other genders, LGBTQ+, who are struggling and fighting for their rightful place in society. I am 76 years old, and sadly, I did not know enough about the life and struggle of transgenders and all other gender groups. And I am very happy that through my children, my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren, I'm coming to know about their lives, their feelings, their thoughts, their desires, and their needs. And let us all stand with them today and be part of their struggle for a gender equal, valuable, and dignified life. Thank you all so much.